When I first married Amara, I felt like I had won life's biggest prize. She was bright, charming, and had a way of making me feel like I was the only man alive. But everything changed the night she asked if her younger sister, Kira, could move in with us. She said Kira had been deeply traumatized from something she could not talk about. Her voice shook as she begged me to help. I said yes without thinking twice. Before I tell you what next, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your story too. Kira arrived the next day, quiet and pale, wearing a big hoodie even though it was hot outside. She stared at the floor when I greeted her. Amara hugged her tightly, whispering that she was safe now. I believed Amara. I believed everything she said. Soon I began caring for Kira every day. I reminded her to eat, sat beside her during her panic attacks, and drove her to every appointment Amara scheduled. I worked full-time, but still, I made time for her. I felt it was my duty as her brother-in-law. A week later, Amara said she was too overwhelmed to keep helping and left everything to me. I didn't question it. I thought this was what love looked like. But I had no idea the darkness that stood inside my own home. Kira rarely spoke. When she did, her voice was soft and shaky. She flinched whenever someone walked too fast or spoke too loudly. I tried to make her feel safe, talking to her gently and giving her space. Most nights, she sat in the living room alone, hugging her knees and rocking slowly. I felt sorry for her. Amara, however, slowly pulled away. She stayed out late, claiming she needed space or time with friends. When I asked if she wanted to spend time with Kira, she sighed dramatically, saying it was too hard for her. I didn't want to push. Weeks turned into months. I learned to live around Kira's silence. I cooked her meals, read her messages to help her make sense of them, and took her to therapy appointments that always ended the same, with Kira too scared to talk. Amara would scold her after each appointment. "You need to try harder," she'd say sharply. Kira only nodded, eyes wide with fear. One night, after another silent dinner, Kira quietly thanked me. "You're kind," she whispered. It was the first time she said anything warm to me. I smiled and told her she was safe here. But her eyes filled with tears and she whispered, "No, I'm not." I didn't understand what she meant. Not yet. At first, I thought her words came from fear of her past. I tried to reassure her, telling her she had nothing to worry about now. But Kira trembled harder. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say more, but she shut it quickly when Amara entered the room. Amara gave her a cold look, and Kira shrank into her chair. That night, after Kira went to bed, I asked Amara what really happened. She grew angry fast. "Why are you doubting me?" she snapped. "You think I'd lie about my sister's pain?" Her eyes filled with tears and I backed off. I hated seeing her upset. The next few days felt strange. I noticed Kira watching Amara carefully, like she expected something bad. Whenever Amara left the house, Kira relaxed. When she came home, Kira froze. It felt wrong, but I couldn't place my finger on it. One morning, I suggested Kira try a new therapist, someone calm and gentle. Amara agreed too quickly, like she didn't care. That should have been my first warning. I found a therapist near our home named Dr. Malik. He spoke kindly and didn't rush anyone. When I told Kira, she looked scared, but when I said I would stay with her, she nodded slowly. I hoped this would help her heal. I had no idea it would break everything open. Dr. Malik's office felt warm, with soft lights and gentle music playing. Kira sat tense in her chair, clutching her sleeve. I stayed beside her, giving her silent support. Dr. Malik welcomed us and told Kira she could speak only if she wanted. He talked to her about simple things: sunlight, colors, favorite food. She relaxed slightly. She even answered a few short questions. After the session, Dr. Malik asked to speak with me alone. Kira stepped into the waiting room. He studied me quietly. "Who told you she was traumatized?" he asked. I frowned. "Her sister, my wife." He nodded slowly, tapping his pen. "Has Kira ever told you anything about what happened?" "No. She's always too scared to talk." Dr. Malik leaned forward. "Her reactions, they look less like trauma from strangers. More like fear caused by someone she knows." A cold feeling spread through me. Do you think she's lying? He shook his head. No. But the story you've been told may not be true. I didn't understand. I felt dizzy. He suggested I bring Kira alone next time. When we drove home, Kira didn't speak. She just stared out the window. That night, I lay awake, replaying Dr. Malik's words. Who was Kira afraid of? I didn't want to believe the answers circling my mind. The next session, it was just me and Kira. She opened up more than before. Dr. Malik asked soft questions that made her think. Tears filled her eyes when she spoke about being watched, being trapped, and having no safe place. She never said who hurt her, but everything pointed to someone close. Dr. Malik gave me a small notebook and asked me to write down anything strange I noticed at home. I started watching more carefully. I saw how Kira flinched every time Amara's phone rang. I saw how she refused to eat food Amara cooked, but always finished the meals I made. I saw her quietly checking that doors were locked after Amara left. One evening after dinner, Amara pulled me aside. She complained that Kira was too much work and suggested we send her to a private care home. Her tone sounded annoyed, not loving. I said no. I told her Kira was getting better. She rolled her eyes and stormed off. Later, Kira whispered, "Thank you." Her voice shook. I asked her why she was so scared of Amara. Her lips trembled. She looked around as if someone might be listening. Finally she whispered, "She hurt me." My blood ran cold. I felt like the room tilted when Kira said those words. She hurt me. I wanted to ask more, but she covered her mouth like she was afraid the walls could hear her. Her eyes filled with tears. I sat beside her and spoke softly. "You're safe here. I won't let anything happen to you." She shook her head hard, whispering, "You don't understand." Before she could say more, we heard the front door open. Amara walked in, smiling like nothing was wrong. Kira went silent instantly, curling inward. The change was sharp and clear. Amara kissed my cheek. "I got dinner." Kira stared at the floor. At bedtime, I checked on Kira. She was already asleep, clutching a small pillow like a shield. I stood there, feeling helpless. Later that night, Amara came to bed smelling like wine. She curled against me, acting warm and loving. But all I could think about was Kira's words. I wanted to ask Amara again about her sister's past, but something told me to stay silent. I didn't know who to believe. The next morning, I found Kira sitting by the window, knees pulled up. When she saw me, she whispered, "Thank you for staying." I knew then that something deep and hidden was waiting to be found. Something Amara never wanted me to know. Days passed and I watched carefully. The more I saw, the more confused I became. One afternoon, I heard raised voices from the hallway. Kira's voice came first, shaky, broken. "Please, don't make me go." Then Amara's voice, cold and sharp. "You will do what I say." By the time I stepped into the hallway, they were quiet. Amara smiled sweetly at me as if nothing happened. "I was just telling her to take a shower," she said. But Kira's eyes told a different story. Later that night, I took notes like Dr. Malik asked. Kira afraid of being alone with Amara, Amara pushing to send her away, Kira more relaxed when Amara not home. I felt like I was living with strangers, not family. At the next session, Dr. Malik asked Kira again if she felt safe at home. Her breathing changed. She looked at me, then whispered, "Only when she's gone." Something heavy filled the room. Dr. Malik asked if I could step outside for a moment. I waited in the hallway, nervous. When they came out, Dr. Malik asked if he could see me alone next time. My heart pounded. On the drive home, Kira kept twisting her hands. She whispered, "Please don't tell her what I said." I nodded, but inside, I felt the floor under my life beginning to crack. At home, Kira spent more time in her room. Amara became strangely cheerful, acting like everything was normal, though she spent very little time with her sister. She often went out late, returning with no explanation. I tried to talk to her about Kira, but she always changed the subject. Once, I told her Kira seemed scared of her. She stiffened, then laughed loudly. "She's scared of everything, Tavin. Don't take it personally." I didn't believe her anymore. One evening, while cleaning the dining table, I found papers tucked under a placement. They were hospital forms with Kira's name, and boxes checked for mental instability. But the signature didn't look like hers. It looked like Amara's handwriting. My stomach twisted. Why would Amara sign something for her sister? I hid the papers and planned to show Dr. Malik. The next morning, I asked Kira if she remembered going to the hospital. Instead of answering, she grabbed my hand and whispered, "Please don't let her take me back there." My chest tightened. "Who took you?" Kira didn't answer. She just stared at the stairs, like she expected someone to appear. I felt trapped between two truths, one spoken, one hidden. And I feared the hidden one. The next session with Dr. Malik felt different. He asked me many questions about Kira's daily life. I told him everything. The papers I found, how she only seemed safe when Amara wasn't home, how she asked me not to let her go back to the hospital. Dr. Malik rubbed his forehead. "This is serious." He believed someone close to Kira had been controlling her for a long time. He asked if I ever saw Amara encouraging Kira to speak or act on her own. When I thought about it, the answer was no. Amara always spoke for her, made decisions for her, even punished her silence. Then he asked something that shook me. "Why did your wife tell you her sister was traumatized, but never tell you why?" I opened my mouth but had no answer. Dr. Malik told me to keep observing and asked if Kira could attend more sessions alone. I agreed. At home, Amara seemed suspicious when I said the doctor wanted more time with Kira. She asked too many questions, what he said, what I told him. I pretended it was nothing. That night, Kira slipped a folded note under my door. It said only 4 words. "Please help me leave." My hands shook as I read it. Someone in my house was lying. And I feared it was my own wife. The next day, I took Kira to her appointment. She seemed nervous but determined. While she spoke with Dr. Malik, I waited outside. When the session ended, Dr. Malik asked me to join him privately. "I think Kira is afraid to speak because she fears consequences at home," he said. "Someone close to her, someone she still sees, has power over her." I felt my throat tighten. "Do you mean Amara?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked, "Has your wife ever tried to stop you from bringing her here?" I thought about it. Not openly, but she never encouraged it either. Then he asked a question that cut deep. "How well do you know your wife?" I didn't know how to respond. Dr. Malik asked if I could bring any documents or records related to Kira, school, medical, anything. I agreed. On the ride home, Kira whispered, "Thank you." Her eyes held something new, hope. But when we walked through the door, Amara stood there, arms crossed, eyes cold. "How did it go?" she asked. Kira froze. I stepped in. It was fine. He wants more sessions. Amara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We'll see about that." That night, I hid the hospital papers in my desk. I didn't know it yet, but I had just started a quiet war inside my own home. I started digging for documents. Most of Kira's things were stuffed in old boxes in the storage room. Dust covered everything. I opened the first box and found school papers, drawings, and a few letters. Some drawings showed a girl crying while someone stood above her, holding something sharp. The tall figure looked like a woman. I swallowed hard. In another box, I found a folder marked with Kira's name. Inside were medical papers. Many said she was brought in by a family member, but the signature was the same messy scribble I saw before. It looked like Amara's handwriting. I took pictures of everything and put the papers back. While I worked, I heard soft steps behind me. It was Kira. She whispered. She never asked them to help me. She asked them to keep me quiet. My chest tightened. I asked her what she meant, but she wouldn't say more. She hugged herself and backed away. Later, I confronted Amara about the medical forms. She laughed. "You're reading too much into this," she said. I only signed because she couldn't. Her tone was careless. But I saw a slight shake in her hands. That night, I sent the pictures to Dr. Malik. He replied quickly, "Keep everything safe. Do not confront her again yet." I didn't realize how dangerous things were becoming. Dr. Malik asked if Kira could have a special session that week. I agreed right away. I told Amara it was a checkup. She didn't argue, but I saw the tension in her face. At the session, Kira finally spoke more. She said she was never allowed to talk about their childhood. Whenever she tried, Amara would punish her. Dr. Malik asked what the punishment was, but Kira froze. Her breathing got fast and tears filled her eyes. She took things from me, she whispered. Then she said people would take me away if I talked. I felt sick. Dr. Malik asked her if she wanted to leave the house. Kira nodded slowly, like she was scared her answer might hurt someone. When the session ended, Dr. Malik pulled me aside. Kira is not safe where she is, he said. She trusts you. You may need to help her leave when the time is right. I nodded, but fear grabbed my throat. That night, Amara was silent. She watched me closely, like she could read my thoughts. I pretended everything was normal. I helped Kira eat dinner and put away dishes. Amara didn't speak much. Before bed, I found Kira slipping a bag under her bed, a backpack with clothes. She whispered, "Just in case." I realized she was getting ready to run. The next few days felt strangely calm. Too calm. Amara acted sweet and loving, cooking dinner, watching movies with me, even bringing flowers home. It felt fake. Every smile was too bright. Every hug felt too tight. Kira stayed in her room most of the time. When she came out, she walked quietly, like she didn't want to draw attention. But every time she saw me, I could see a small spark of trust. One night, after Amara went to bed, Kira knocked softly on my door. She told me she had something to show me. We went to the living room, and she pulled a small flash drive from her pocket. Her hands shook. "She kept these," she whispered. "I took it when she wasn't home." The drive held voice recordings, fights, screams, crying. In one, a woman yelled, "If you talk, I'll make sure they lock you away forever." The voice sounded like Amara. My chest burned. How long had this been going on? Kira hugged herself and whispered. She said no one would ever believe me. I put my hand on her shoulder and said, "I believe you." We sat there, shaking, listening to the truth. In that moment, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to protect her, even if it meant breaking my marriage. I sent the recordings to Dr. Malik. He replied fast, "This is important. Do not let your wife know." He asked if I could bring Kira for another session the next day. I agreed. The plan was simple: gather more evidence, then find a safe place for Kira. I felt terrified, but I told myself it was the right thing. The next morning, I called in sick from work. I told Amara I had errands to run. She asked too many questions. I lied, saying I needed to buy things for the house. Kira and I went to Dr. Malik's office. This time, she talked more about her past. She said Amara isolated her, took her inheritance, and controlled every move she made. Whenever she tried to speak up, Amara would threaten to take her to the hospital again. Dr. Malik took notes quickly. "We need proof of the inheritance," he said. I promised to look. Before we left, Kira asked Dr. Malik, "Will she be punished?" He said, "One day. The truth does not stay hidden forever." On the drive home, Kira stared out the window, silent. I could see hope, but also fear. As we reached home, I saw Amara's car in the driveway. I felt my heart stop. She wasn't supposed to be home. Amara opened the door before we could knock. Her eyes were sharp. "Where did you go?" she asked. I tried to stay calm. "Just out. We needed air." She stared at us for a long moment, then stepped aside. "Come in." Her voice sounded flat. Kira walked past her, shoulders tight. I followed, praying she would go to her room. Instead, Amara blocked her path. "No. Stay." Her tone made my skin crawl. We sat in the living room. Amara crossed her arms. "I checked the bank account today," she said. "Money is missing." Her eyes locked on Kira. Kira's breathing got fast. I stepped in. "I paid for her appointment last week," I lied. Amara laughed coldly. "Don't lie to me, Tavin." The room felt like it was shrinking. Then she said something that made my blood turn cold. "She doesn't need therapy. She needs control." Kira gasped. I stood between them. "Enough," I said. "She is staying here. She's safe with me." Amara's eyes narrowed. "Safe? You have no idea what she's capable of." I grabbed Kira's hand and led her upstairs. I locked the door. She cried silently. That night, I stayed awake, listening for footsteps. The house no longer felt like a home. It felt like a trap. The next morning, I woke up exhausted. I barely slept. I kept listening for Amara, afraid she might try something. But the house stayed quiet. When I walked downstairs, Amara was in the kitchen making breakfast. She smiled like nothing happened. "Eat with me," she said. Her voice sounded bright, but her eyes were cold. I sat, keeping some distance. Kira stayed upstairs. I didn't blame her. Amara asked, "Do you really think she needs help?" "Yes," I said. "She's been through a lot." She stirred her coffee slowly. "You think I hurt her?" I didn't answer. Silence hung between us. Then she leaned forward and whispered, "You weren't there. You don't know what she did." Her words confused me. But before I could ask, she stood up and walked away. When I checked on Kira, she was packing her small bag again. "We need to leave soon," she said. I agreed, but we needed more proof before taking her away. I searched the house that day, looking for documents. Finally, inside a drawer in Amara's office, I found a folder labeled Inheritance, Kira. Inside were legal papers stating that money meant for Kira had been redirected to Amara's personal account. My chest felt tight. This was the evidence we needed. But suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I spun around. It was Amara. She looked down at the folder in my hands, then back at me. Her face didn't move. No anger. No surprise. Just emptiness. "So," she said quietly, "you found it." I swallowed hard. This money was hers. "Why did you take it?" She shrugged. "Because she would have wasted it. She can't make choices. She's like a child." "She's not a child," I said. "She's your sister." Amara stepped closer. Her voice dropped. "She is a burden. She always has been." My fists curled. "How can you say that?" She smiled a small, strange smile. "I protected her. If I hadn't, she wouldn't have survived." I didn't know what she meant, but fear crawled up my spine. She reached for the folder, but I pulled it away. "No. This is going to the authorities." Her smile faded. "You don't understand," she said. "You are choosing her over me. Your wife." I took a step back. "I'm choosing what's right." She frowned, like my words hurt her. Then she nodded slowly. "Fine. Do what you want. But remember, truth has sharp edges. It cuts everyone." She turned and left the room. My hands shook. I locked the folder in my car. That night, Kira whispered, "We need to run soon." I agreed. But I didn't know how fast danger was coming. The next day, I drove Kira to a small cafe far from home. Dr. Malik met us there. He reviewed the inheritance papers and the flash drive recordings. His face grew serious. "This is enough to open a case," he said. "But it will take time. We need to move Kira to a safe place first." "Where?" I asked. "I know a shelter," he replied. "They'll protect her." Kira held my hand. "Will I be alone?" "No," I said. "I'll visit you every day." Dr. Malik nodded. "She must leave tonight." I felt relief, but also fear of how Amara would react. When we returned home, Amara wasn't there. I helped Kira pack quietly, clothes, notebooks, the flash drive. She moved fast but nervously. Every sound made her flinch. As sunset neared, Dr. Malik texted me the address. I told Kira to wait by the back door while I went upstairs to grab her jacket. When I came back down, the back door was open. Kira was gone. I stepped outside, calling her name. No answer. The yard was empty. Then I saw tire tracks near the driveway. My phone rang. A known number. I answered. A voice whispered, "She's with me. Stop digging." My stomach dropped. It was Amara. I froze. "What did you do?" I shouted. Amara laughed softly. "She came willingly. She knows she belongs with me." "She's my responsibility now," I said. "Bring her back." "You don't understand," she replied. "She isn't safe without me. She never was." I tried to stay calm. "Where are you?" But she hung up. My hands shook. I called Dr. Malik and told him everything. His voice was urgent. Call the police right now. This is kidnapping. I dialed immediately. They took the report, asked questions, and promised to send officers. I paced the house, waiting. Every second felt like fire. When the police arrived, I showed them the papers and recordings. They took copies. They asked if I knew any places Amara might go. I mentioned her childhood house, an old family cabin. They sent units to search. Hours passed. No sign of them. I sat alone in the living room. I kept replaying everything in my head. I should have stayed with Kira. I should have never let her out of my sight. My phone buzzed, another unknown number. I answered instantly. This time, it wasn't Amara. It was Kira. Her voice was shaking. Tevin, I'm scared. Please, help me. Before I could respond, the line cut. I ran to my car. I wasn't waiting anymore. I drove toward the cabin, praying I was right. The road was dark and narrow. Trees bent over the path like they were watching. My phone kept losing signal. I tried calling Kira again. Nothing. When I reached the cabin, the windows were dark. I stopped the car and listened. The air felt heavy. I stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked beneath me. I tried the door. But then I heard a faint sound, crying. Inside. I circled to the back. A small window glowed faintly. I looked in and saw Kira sitting on the floor, hugging her knees. She looked terrified. I whispered her name. She looked up, eyes wide. Then I saw Amara. She stood in the corner, watching her like a shadow. My chest tightened. I tried the back door. It was unlocked. I stepped in quietly. Amara, I said softly. Let her go. She turned slowly. Her face looked calm, almost peaceful. You brought this on yourself, she said. You pulled her away. She wanted a life, I said. She wanted freedom. She is my life, Amara whispered. Without me, she falls apart. I stood between them. She can stand on her own. Amara's eyes hardened. No. She belongs with me. For a heartbeat, no one moved. And then everything exploded. Amara suddenly rushed toward me. She grabbed my arm, trying to pull me away from Kira. Her strength shocked me. For a moment, I struggled to stay on my feet. Stop! I shouted, trying to break free. But Kira stood up too. Her voice trembled. Amara, please. I don't want to live like this anymore. Amara froze. Her grip loosened. She stared at her sister like she was hearing a stranger speak. You don't want me? Amara whispered. Kira wiped her tears. I want to be safe. Amara shook her head, step by step backing away. Her breathing grew sharp. I kept you alive. I protected you. I am all you have. No, Kira said. Tavin helped me more in 3 months than you did in 3 years. Amara's face twisted in pain. She grabbed a lamp and smashed it on the floor. The room went dark, except for the moonlight. She screamed, You both betrayed me. Kira clung to my arm. I pulled her behind me. Just then, police sirens sounded in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed against the window. Amara looked around wildly, like an animal trapped. She ran toward the back door. Amara, stop. I yelled. But she was already gone, vanishing into the trees. The police burst inside seconds later. I lifted my hands and pointed outside. She ran into the woods. Please, go. 2 officers rushed out. Others stayed to comfort Kira. She shook uncontrollably, clutching her small backpack. I led her to the living room couch. She kept looking at the door, afraid Amara might come back. When the officers returned, they couldn't find her. The woods were too dark and deep. They took our statements. One officer told me, We'll keep searching. But you both need to leave now. Dr. Malik drove to the cabin to meet us. He put his coat around Kira and helped her into his car. You're safe with me, he said gently. I followed behind in my own car. Every time headlights passed, I jumped, thinking it might be Amara. We reached the shelter, a quiet house with soft lights and tall fences. Staff welcomed Kira warmly. They guided her inside, speaking kindly. She held my hand before going. Don't leave me, she whispered. I'll visit every day, I promised. For the first time, she walked into a place built to help her, not control her. I stood outside afterward. The night air felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You think you've won?" My blood turned cold. For days, police searched for Amara. But she vanished like smoke. No tracks. No cameras catching her. Nothing. Kira stayed at the shelter. She began counseling sessions with Dr. Malik. Slowly, she seemed lighter. She smiled sometimes. She drew pictures of birds flying. I visited her daily. We talked about small things. Music, food, funny memories. Every time I prepared to leave, she held my hand for just a second longer. I knew she was still scared, but she was growing stronger. Meanwhile, investigators reviewed the inheritance papers and recordings. They opened a case against Amara for fraud, kidnapping, and emotional abuse. Her name spread across local news. People at work asked me questions. I stayed quiet. I only cared about protecting Kira. Then one evening after I visited her, I returned home. The house felt wrong. The lights were off, though I had left them on. I turned the switch. Nothing. Power cut. I moved carefully through the house. My chest was tight. Then I saw it. A message written on the living room wall in black marker. She was mine. I stumbled back, heart racing. My phone buzzed again. An image message. A photo of me standing at the shelter earlier that day. She was watching us. I called the police. This wasn't over. Police arrived fast. They searched every room, every corner, every lock. They stayed outside the house through the night. Dr. Malik insisted I move somewhere safer. So I stayed at a hotel near the shelter. My heart pounded every time someone walked past my door. A week passed. No new messages. No sightings. The police believed she might have left the state. But I wasn't convinced. Something told me she was still close, waiting. One night, Dr. Malik asked me to join a meeting. He said Kira wanted to speak about the past. At the shelter, she sat on a couch, holding a small stuffed rabbit. Her voice was soft. She always wanted control, she said. Even when we were young. When our parents died, she told me I was weak. She said I needed her to survive, and I believed her. Tears ran down her face. She continued, she kept the money to keep me tied to her. If I stayed helpless, she stayed powerful. I nodded, letting her talk. Then she added something that chilled me. She said, one day we would be one person. No more me. Only us. I felt sick. Dr. Malik asked, do you think she'll come here? Kira looked down. She already has. My breath caught. Before we could react, a loud crash echoed from outside. Staff rushed to lock the doors. Police guarding the shelter ran toward the noise. I stayed with Kira and Dr. Malik inside the safest room. Shouting filled the hallway. Someone tried forcing a door. My heart slammed in my chest. Stay behind me, I told Kira. Then everything went quiet. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, police returned. They had found Amara behind the building. She had fallen and broken her ankle while trying to climb the fence. They arrested her immediately. She screamed Kira's name, twisting wildly, begging her to come back. But Kira stood still. She took my hand and didn't move. Amara's voice cracked. You can't leave me. You're nothing without me. Kira whispered, I'm free. Those two words ended everything. Months later, a court sentenced Amara to years in prison. Her face looked empty, like she'd lost the world. Kira got her inheritance back. She saved some, studied, found work at a small art shop. She painted bright things, birds, skies, hope. I visited often. Sometimes we sat in silence, grateful for peace. One day she hugged me and said, you saved me. I smiled. No. You saved yourself. I only walked beside you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your story too. What lesson did you learn from our story?